Welcome to Weekly News Highlights, a segment where we report national news, so stuff happening outside of our SUNY New Paltz bubble. The Virginia elections shocked the nation, with Democrats winning the House of Delegates and the state Senate. According to the New York Times, this is the first time Democrats took full control of state government since 1994. In other news, Hong Kong leader Carrie Lam and Chinese President Xi Jinping held, quote, unexpected talks on Monday night surrounding signals that China may, quote, tighten its grip in Hong Kong to handle the political unrest. Lam vowed to deal with violence by implementing strict law enforcement. The protest started in June, fighting against a bill that allows suspects to be sent to China for trials, which many argued would go against Hong Kong's judiciary system. Lam abandoned the bill 3 months into protests, but by then the protests had already grown for democracy rights. The violence is increasingly intensifying, with more than 3,300 people being arrested since June. The story was adapted from the Associated Press. On Monday, November 4th, Secretary Mike Pompeo stated that he submitted a formal notice to the UN that starts the formal withdrawal process from the Paris Climate Agreement. Nearly 200 nations signed the deal, which each country explains their own goals to reduce fossil fuel use. So today I'm here with someone to help discuss this topic in further detail. This is the beautiful Juliana Sebben, who is the Sustainability Ambassador here at New Paltz. So talk to me, how serious is this issue of pulling out of the agreement?
So the U.S. pulling out of the Paris Climate Agreement is definitely pretty serious. The U.S. is one of the top emitters of greenhouse gases globally. We're second after China currently, but cumulatively since the 1750s, we've emitted like double the amount of any other nation on the earth. So we definitely have a really big hand in the climate crisis that we're facing today. I think pulling out is us saying that we're not interested in addressing the problem that we've made. And yeah, I would say it's definitely really serious. Like, we're in the midst of a climate crisis, and us not stepping up to take responsibility for it is going to have implications on a really global scale.
Our goal during Obama was only to reduce about 26% of our emissions, as opposed to people or like nations like the EU that wanted to do 40%. Mm-hmm. So what do you think this withdrawal will really mean for us and for the world? Because as you said, a lot of countries look up to the US like internationally. So What do you think about that?
Yeah, it gives other countries kind of not an excuse, but almost an excuse to also not take responsibility for their emissions by us being like, we're not going to step up to the plate and do what we need to. I think other countries might take that into account and change their practices. This is really an issue that we all need to get behind, and I think the US is definitely setting a bad example. I think we're making ourselves look bad. And Trump is also just actively trying to roll back all of the environmental policies that have been put forth by the Obama administration. He really believes in clean coal energy, which I don't think exists. But yeah, I think it just sends a really strong message that the United States is not interested in mitigating climate change.
And lastly, how do you think climate change will begin to affect us in like the years to come, our health, our day-to-day lifestyle?
So climate change is definitely something that's happening right now, presently. For some of us, it may feel far away, especially in the United States. We're really shielded from the effects of climate change because we have a lot of money, so we can build infrastructures that can withstand natural disasters. We can rebuild if we do get struck. Also, like, we have AC, we're not growing our own food, like we have farmers growing our own food. So a lot of us are really removed from our environment, so we're not really seeing the effects of climate change as personally as other parts of the world are. But this is definitely something that's happening today, that was happening yesterday, like it's definitely happening right now. I think the US is going to be seeing it as we progress, especially if we don't change our ways. And I mean, it's going to mean a lot of really not fun things. Like, I think we're going to be seeing food shortages and water scarcity. I think we're going to see influxes of climate immigrants, climate refugees, people who are leaving their countries of origin because of resource scarcity and stuff like that. So I think everything is going to change, either to address the problems that climate change brings up or to prevent them. So either way, like, change needs to happen.
So there you have it, we're screwed. Anyways, thank you for tuning into this week's highlight, and we hope to see you next week. I'm Erika Wasonoredjo, reporting from the WNPC-TV.